All right, today we are diving headfirst into the wilderness with the ancient Israelites in Numbers chapter 21. And let me tell you, this is not just some slow, dusty march through the desert. Nope. This chapter is absolutely packed with venomous snakes, clashing swords, and a moment of faith so powerful it literally echoes through all of history. So let me ask you this. What happens when your very survival, your life, hangs on one single simple act? I'm not talking about your strength or your cleverness or even medicine, just where you choose to look. That question, right there, is the beating heart of the story we're about to get into. Okay, so our story kicks off not with despair, but actually with a huge military win. But as we're about to see, that feeling of victory can fade really, really fast when you're dealing with the harsh reality of the desert. So picture this. The Israelites are on the move, and bam, they get ambushed by a local Canaanite king from Arad. They respond by making this super serious vow to God, saying, hey, if you give us the win, we will completely destroy their cities. Well, God takes them up on it, the Israelites are victorious, and they name the place Hormah, which means destruction. Yeah, a pretty brutal start. Now, you'd think a God-given victory like that would boost morale for a while, right? Nope. The physical grind of the journey was just becoming too much. They had to take this long, painful detour around the land of Edom. And the text says the soul of the people was much discouraged because of the way. And that discouragement, it just boils over into full-blown rebellion. What's so wild here is what they complain about. It's not just the lack of food. They complain about the miraculous food, the manna, that God provides for them every single day. They call it this worthless bread. Any sense of gratitude is just gone. And that's the key. This wasn't just them grumbling. This was a direct shot at God's leadership and his care for them. And the consequence? It was immediate, it was terrifying, and man, was it symbolic. Suddenly, the entire camp is just swarming with what the text calls fiery serpents. Now, this probably refers to the burning, inflammatory venom from their bite. It's a horrifying plague, a direct and deadly answer to their own venomous words against God. People are getting bitten, and a lot of them are dying. The people finally get it. They realize what they've done, and they cry out to Moses for help. And this, right here, is where the story takes its most famous and, frankly, unexpected turn. The cure for a deadly serpent's bite is, of all things, another serpent. This slide just lays out the whole cycle perfectly, It starts with their sin, speaking against God. That leads directly to the punishment of the fiery serpents. But that suffering pushes them to repentance, where they finally admit, we have sinned. And only then does God provide a path to salvation. It's a clear pattern. So God tells Moses to make a serpent out of bronze and lift it up high on a pole for everyone to see. The instructions were unbelievably simple. Anybody who's been bitten, when he looks at the bronze serpent, will live. It wasn't about medicine. It was about an act of faith, of obedience. And this image, a symbol of death being lifted up to bring life, is why this story becomes so incredibly famous. Centuries later in the Gospel of John, Jesus actually points right back to this moment, comparing the serpent being lifted up to how he himself would be lifted up on a cross to offer salvation to everyone. Okay, so with the plague of serpents finally dealt with, the Israelites are back on the move. But their challenges are far from over. The focus now switches from that internal crisis of faith to an external conflict with some powerful new enemies. The narrative kind of goes into fast forward here, giving us this quick travelogue of their progress, a blur of strange names and tough landscapes. Oboth, Zered, the river Arnon. At one point, in a place called Beer, God even provides water from a well. They are just relentlessly pushing forward, right up to the border of the powerful Amorites who were a major force in the region. So, when they get to the Amorite border, Moses tries diplomacy first. He sends a message to their king, Sihon, with a totally reasonable request. Hey, just let us pass through on the main road. We won't go in your fields, we won't touch your wells. But Sihon's response is an absolute no. He doesn't just refuse, he gathers his entire army and marches out to attack Israel in the wilderness. And that aggression turns out to be a fatal mistake for Sihon. The Israelites meet his army in battle and completely crush them. And this wasn't just a small skirmish. They stormed through his entire kingdom, taking possession of every single city he had. But the fighting isn't over yet.
I mean, no sooner have they defeated King Sihon than they turn and have to face another major threat, Og, the king of Bashan, a ruler who is legendary for his size and strength. But this time, before the battle even starts, God speaks directly to Moses. He gives him this incredible assurance, saying, "Fear him not," promising that Og, all his people, and his entire land have already been delivered into Israel's hand. The victory is a done deal before a single sword is even drawn. And the battle? It unfolds exactly as God promised. It is another absolutely crushing, total victory. They strike down King Og, his sons, and his whole army, until the text says there was none left him alive. And just like that, the powerful kingdom of Bashan now belongs to Israel.
So let's just pause on that for a second. In this one chapter, the same people who were just dying from snake bites and complaining about bread have now conquered two powerful Amorite kings and seized all their land. I mean, that is a staggering, whiplash-inducing turn of events.
And that brings us to the end of our breakdown of Numbers 21. From the very brink of death to military domination, the Israelites went through some unbelievable highs and lows. Their journey was nowhere near over, but it leaves us with this really critical question to think about. Through all the rebellion and repentance, the venom and the victory, what did these trials actually forge them into?